This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Keeping steady temps when cooler brewing, setting pressure for serving soda, and dealing with the dripping faucet. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 424. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You can email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, but even better, because I'm getting desperate and low on inventory, give it a call. Leave a voicemail to our hotline at 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail on a future episode, you're going to get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. It does not get any better than that. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer of Keg Connection, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Hello. Todd, you didn't really watch Seinfeld, did you? You weren't much into Seinfeld, or did you watch it?
Probably saw every episode.
Oh, okay. The hello with his girlfriend's belly button.
It was 500 years ago, though.
It was 500 years ago. That's right. I don't think I was allowed to watch it when it was live. Like, I think it was NBC Thursday night, so I don't think my parents let me. I say that. My parents didn't. I mean, they were good parents. My dad watches this. Y'all were great. Y'all did the best you could. I don't remember them filtering a ton. Like, I had Mortal Kombat with the
filter. Yeah, parents didn't even know. They had no idea what I watched. Yeah, that's funny.
Wait, TV was invented when you were a kid? Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we had 3 channels, dude. Well, 4 if you count PBS.
And we didn't have PBS.
Yeah, but and back then, obviously, I mean, I say obviously, I'm assuming it was all terrestrial. I mean, you had an antenna to pick up these channels.
Terrestrial?
Yeah, using an antenna over the air, terrestrial, over the airwaves.
Never heard that term.
Look it up. Fact check me real quick. Come on, real time. Fact check. I'm like 99% sure that's a terrestrial television is what that would be called. Terrestrial, relating to, suppose, terrestrial.
I looked you up already. A method of broadcasting television that uses radio waves. You don't just learn about draft beer or home brewing on this show. You also learn about terrestrial television.
Yeah, I know I didn't just make that up, but if I had and I looked stupid, I'd edit it out. Which I wouldn't because I don't like to edit. That's all.
I'll bet you $5.
Yeah, James like, I bet you $5 you don't edit it out. Yeah, nope, not making that.
You do it to get the $5.
Yeah, you say that. I'm more lazy than for $5. I can Venmo you quick. It's like you're right, dude. You're
like, don't underestimate my laziness.
Don't underestimate. We do have a packed show. We are very excited about that. Let me get through a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, this month, my friends, it is a wonderful time to join at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour because you're getting a delicious, true to style California Common shipped to your doorstep. James, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Cable Car is a very specific strain from Imperial for that style.
It is. It's a steam beer yeast.
Yeah. So this guy's obviously all the strains we love from Imperial, but when we do a style and it's using a strain that is hyper specific, that's when I get super excited. So you go and join at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, a recipe receiving tier, and we'll get you hooked up at the end of the month. Thank you to our show sponsors, Muntons Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast. They always provide, first off, they always support everything we do. Can't thank them enough. And because of their premium ingredients, we're able to get out the best possible kits to you guys. And, some people have complained. I say some. I like to be transparent on this show. We gain people every month and we lose people. One guy, so it's not a sum. One guy said, he complained I was going to join, but then you raised the prices. And if you would, lower them back, I'd be a member. And I was like, brother, we raised the price for shipping. That's it. Todd is the king of breaking my heart when I'm like, hey, look at how many kits we got in and we shipped them out. And goes, okay, give me the receipts for shipping so Homebrew Happy Hour can pay me. I'm like, oh, there goes all my money.
It is a lot. It's a huge amount.
But even with that preface, I will say the best deal you can get when you compare apples to apples for like I said, premium grains, premium hops, and liquid yeast with an ice pack, you cannot get a better deal than patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. And it's a great time to join because you're getting that California Common. Also, guys, it is time. Registration's open at kolschcup.com or homebrewhappyhour.com and click on Kolsch Cup at the top of the page. Sign up. We are halfway through registration in regards to entries. We're taking 40 and we're right at 20. It's 19 as of literally right now. So we're almost halfway for registration. We would love for you guys to join us. Do you brew the best Kolsch? Then go sign up. Again, there are fees and all that, and it all goes right back into the competition and unfortunately mostly into shipping. But we got really nice shirts that are going to be made. We got a really nice gaudy trophy for the grand champion, and I'm still hoping, I'm pretty sure, Jonathan, you'll have to text me when you're watching this or hearing this. Jonathan Maroot, I think, is going to be a guest judge. So we're going to have a returning champion come and help us judge and crown a new champ. And I won't throw names out there, even though people can deduct because there's only been 3 winners, I think. We do have one of the returning champs who he's already entered and paid and submitted. So we'll see if he can be a 2-time Kolsch Cup champion. People take the Kolsch Cup more serious, I think, than other ones. We are established experts, and we will be judging them accordingly. So I'm very excited about that. That's coming up at the end of May. Again, you can go to kolschcup.com, sign up, and we'll get your registration taken care of, and then you'll ship it out by mid-May, and we're going to try to live stream it. If not, it's no biggie. We'll record from the barn, and I'll publish it the next day. So I do believe that's all the small talk. I did write in here. I was going to solicit help. I'll just give the premise real quick. I don't know if y'all ever read my notes. I am abusing the power I have on this show as its producer and a co-host. I've been in a Tom and Jerry situation for a month now with this damn rat coming into my chicken run. I think I know where it lives. I get rid of that part of it. The next night on my cameras, he's back. I've put bucket traps, I've put cage traps, I've put sticky traps, I've put clamping traps. He goes around them in and out. It looks like the board game Mousetrap in my chicken run. I'm going out there every night, close the chicken door, in the run, set up all these traps, come in the next morning and take them all down. If anyone watching can give me some advice, effective advice on how to catch a rat, I will give you personally I'll send you a care package if it works of Homebrew Happy Hour stuff. I got shirts for you. I am just getting so sick and tired of this rat, so I am abusing my power. If you have an effective means that'll work, send it. Put it in the comments below. That's all I want y'all to take from this show. Is Josh is pissed about having to catch this. Did I show you the picture of it, guys? Did I show you the rat?
I think you did,
dude. It's this long with its tail. I mean, it's a monster. And I guess rats are smarter than mice, because I've had mice and I put a sticky trap down and it gets in the sticky trap. Okay, got him. Haha. This rat, he is smart, man. I hate him. I feel like I never really watched Tom and Jerry. Was Tom as dumb as Wile E. Coyote, or you know what I mean? Like, did he got caught up in his own stuff? Just he was a cat version of Wile E. Coyote, wasn't he? Where like he does something, thinks it's clever, and it backfires. That's been me. It's been me. It's been miserable. So yeah, that's my last thing. Now we're getting on to the show. Unless Todd, you have some small talk that you'd like to go through.
Oh no, whenever we're done with chickenconnection.com, let's get going.
I do own a Homestead Happy Hour, but anyways, that is all the small talk. The gong of questions means we are moving right in. I did take a couple of emails and a text because I'm going through those as we are hoping for you guys to send in more voicemails to 325-305-6107. But even if you do an email, like our first question, our buddy David C. wrote in, you still get yourself a gift card to catconnection.com. And David wrote, Josh, James, and Todd, as you know, I've been listening to y'all for years now, and one of my favorite videos is the one where y'all are brewing in a cooler brew system. That's what I use. I have two 10-gallon Rubbermaid coolers, a hot liquor tank in my mash tun, and a 15-gallon boil kettle. I've made some pretty good beer, but I have the hardest time hitting temps. Do you have any surefire tips on how to hit my sparge and mash temperatures? I use Beersmith and I try to follow recommendations for hitting the temperatures, but I'm doing something wrong. Any help is greatly appreciated. Yours in Brewing, David. He has been he's very interactive with our stuff that we post and on Facebook and all that. So David, we appreciate the question. I will say, I'm going to throw it to you first, James. That cooler brew, I think, is only second to the video you did comparing the all-in-ones. And where I'm going with that is extremely popular video. I think cooler brewing is a very common way people start all grain brewing. Historically,
that's how I started.
That's how a lot of people do. And one thing that stuck with me from that video, though, and I don't know if all igloo style coolers are made the same. Remember how in all you guys were that it held the temp 1 for 1 from when you closed it up for the mash, and when an hour had passed and y'all opened it up, it was still at 150 or whatever, 151. What's the secret to maintaining temps on a cooler type system?
Just close it up. I know when we had Big Bertha, we had God, I don't even remember how many quarts. That was the largest cooler I could find online. And I use, if you go to, and I'm sure his brewing software's got it. It's a mash infusion calculator, water calculator. Brewer's Friend has it under their tools, and it's listed under mash calculator. And I always use that. Clay was the one that showed me. I think Clay had his own program that he had created, and he brought us a little electronic, just like the controllers we use for a Brautag with a electronic thermocouple, and then we would have it set by the cooler. But one of the biggest things that I noticed is once you infuse, like I'm on there now. So let's say that you're wanting to shoot for 150 degrees. Okay. So what it does is it asks you for the grain rate, and then it wants the mash water to grain ratio. I always pick 1.5 quarts per pound of grain. And then where you want to be in mash temperature, and then you've got to measure your grain temperature, and then hit update, and it'll tell you how many quarts and what temperature the water is. So like this one's 15 quarts, 160.7 degrees. So I'd round it up, always round up to 161. And so when you infuse it, stir it real good and close it up. We always covered it in a blanket as well. And you can do that with a towel if you're using a round cooler. Just don't open it. If you want to, you can do like we did, is we put if you remember the video, Todd, I think we put a thermometer in the lid. So when you close the lid, we could read it. I may have dreamt that.
I don't remember.
What I would do.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in so long. It was almost as long ago as Seinfeld. So, but yeah, I the one thing that always sticks out to me is how well it held the temperature.
Yeah, as long as you don't open it up, because a lot of people have a habit of, I've got to stir it. So they'll open it up, stir it, close it, open it up. Because I did the same thing too. It would not hold temperature. Stir it real good, close it up, cover it, and just leave it. Let it set, and you should be fine.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. He asked about hitting temperature. So that was the thing I was confused about.
So what James described, I believe, is the process of hitting it. Because what's a good piece of advice, people who get into cooler brewing, and let's assume they're living in 2025, but they don't know it's the best time to be alive. So they don't use this little supercomputer we all have in our pockets. They don't use an app. They might assume off the top of their head, the recipe sheet says 152. So they only get their strike water to 152. They pour it in, not like James was saying, not accounting for the temperature of your grain and the loss that the liquid's going to get going over the grain. So then they're surprised, and this isn't David. I'm talking about this hypothetical new person. Then they're surprised when they open it, and oh my God, why is it at 144 or whatever? Because you have to account for all those stuff. So James described the hitting.
Yeah, think of the grain as a lot of ice cubes. So it's got a lower temperature than so if you just do 150 degree water, by the time you infuse the grain into the water, it's going to absorb some of that heat and cool it down. So that's why I always use one, because it told me I had to have, like on this one, if I was doing a 5-gallon batch, I knew that my strike water would need to be 160 degrees. And because I have a water to grain ratio of 1.5, it says 15 quarts. So as long as I had 15 quarts at 161 degrees, put it in the cooler, add in the mash or the malt, and stir it real good. You can take a quick temperature of it, and you should be real close. Close it up, cover it, and just let it mash for an hour. Yep. You should still be good, just like we did in the video.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, I like Todd and you, it's been so long since I've watched it. I don't remember if y'all had mentioned the temperature of your strike water, but I believe what you did, that was Todd out in the garage. I only remember, the one thing I do remember is Todd called it sparge water instead of strike water. And so every now and then, because it's a popular video that sometimes makes it into the algorithm, I get a bloop bloop comment, "Hey idiot, it's not sparge water."
It's not a term I'm unfamiliar with.
Which one, sparge or idiot?
Idiot.
Okay.
Remember, idiot.
Yeah, well, was that in Cologne? Or was that?
No, that was
Amsterdam.
That was Amsterdam. Yeah, I've been called an idiot in many countries
and languages,
and cities, and languages. Yes,
idiot. You're like, wait a second. Where are you from? I need to know. What's that language? It's universal. You're right. I know it too, man.
Well, and going on to that, so let's see, that takes care of the initial strike. But let's say he wants to go into sparge temperature for his grain, so he can get more sugars off. So I went in there. So we assume that he's at 150 when he opens it up and he's ready to sparge. So now, if you want to hit 100, I put 169 degrees, you're going to need 171.5 degrees of water to offset that difference, because he's at 150. So there's lots of stuff online that you can look at, read, a lot of tools, not just Brewer's Friend, but all the others. It was never a big issue. We seem to always hit our temps, but the biggest thing is to leave it alone.
Yeah. Leave it alone. That's the best advice in regards to, because you're not circulating, so you don't got to worry about stuck mash in that regard, and whatnot. Leaving it alone, let it do its thing. Trust the way. And I will say I've never used Beersmith, but I know Brad on a pseudo personal level, and I guarantee you that feature's in there too for Beersmith.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen a brewer software that didn't have it.
Brad's super nerd in regards to engineer minded and getting the details right. And I think his software just got updated from looking like Windows 3 to looking like maybe Windows 95. I'm not sure. No, I'm kidding. Brad's a
Windows
nice guy.
98.
Yeah, Windows 98. Yeah. I don't know if y'all remember, the three of us met him HomebrewCon Minneapolis. But I haven't actually.
I remember telling him, man, you got a voice for radio.
He does. He has the ultimate broadcast voice. And when I go on Reddit, the bane of my existence, that website, people will be like, "Oh, Brad Smith's voice is the worst." I'm like, that is like golden era radio voice. That's a gift. Yeah, like I don't listen to the show, so maybe the content's not to their liking, but they always make fun of him, like, "Oh, Brad Smith." I'm like, Brad Smith, shut up. He has a voice of a voice of a broadcast angel. Wrapping up David's I got gay quick. I'm sorry. Wrapping. I saw the look on your face, Todd.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I'm still not going to say anything.
Wrapping up David's question.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. Todd, you could be George, I'll be Jerry. So wrapping up David's question, though, I would say, like James said, the surefire tip: trust the calculations, leave it alone. If you are having a plus or minus of degree difference from the software, adjust on your next brew. Dial in your system that you use by writing down, taking notes and all that, because everyone, eventually, whatever you choose to use to brew on, you got to dial into it and understand its intricacies. That's how Todd's system is so efficient. In some other system, you just dial in and you have it covered. My other piece of advice, which is going to just sound snobby because I use an all-in-one and y'all use electric brewing too. Electric brewing sure does resolve all those issues in regards to keeping your temps, whether it's going to be on a Herm system or like an all-in-one like my pop and I use, the Grainfather. Electric brewing would cover it. And if you go the electric brewing route from the beginning, get a 240 or a 220 volt. I guess they are technically 240 volt, but get a 240 system.
220, 230, 240, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever you want to use.
My point being, I think James has used a 110 all-in-one before, haven't you? And
that was what the Grainfather Todd won. He let me use a lot, and I brewed lots of beer off of that, and it worked fine. But I was amazed at how big a difference 220 was over 110. And how much quicker it would get to temp. Dude,
so much quicker, so much better brew day, so much smoother. Nothing like it. But anyways, if you are watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour and have some advice or feedback for David, leave it in the comments below. Or even better, guys, call it into 325-305-6107. And if it's good enough to be played on a future episode, you will get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Moving on, we've got another email question. It's our buddy Travis W. And Travis wrote, if I want to set up a pop-up booth to sell sparkling water and homemade soda, would you use different pressures for each beverage? I'm seeing conflicting information when it comes to how high soda should be carbonated. Your video on Topo Chico led me to buying one of your fizz kits. I make my sparkling water with 40 psi and serve it with 40 psi too. My man. Some forums suggest that soda needs to be as high as 80. That seems excessive, which is why I'm asking for your advice. Thanks. I tried to replicate that search. And I messaged Travis, or I replied to his email. He actually just wrote this in last week, and so I haven't heard back from him. I could not find anyone suggesting 80 in a mainstream way. I
think what they were talking. Well, I think what they were talking about is more like a carbonator. It's totally different where you're feeding. Oh, you could be 80 or even more on a carbonator where the water's not cold and you're basically flash carbonating it.
That has to be it, because that's not what I was searching for. That's why I didn't find it. You're absolutely right. Flash carbonating groundwater.
The warmer the water, the higher the pressure. So if it's cold water, there's no reason to do it at 80.
Exactly. And so,
and even with carbonators, they could be using colder water, but they're doing it so fast, so.
gotcha. Well, so let's take his question. First, I mean, I think it's a brilliant idea. I've been hounding my pop about this. He's retired, but he's still trying to find stuff to do. I was like, Pop, let's get the beverage cart going, man. You know how like selling kids overpriced kombucha, craft soda, whatever you want. We're in Austin. Just call it artisan. And now all of a sudden people are like, ooh, some craft soda or whatever. But it's a great idea. What are some tips, Todd, you'd say? Well, first off, I think we can all agree, no, you don't have to do separate pressures. 40 is actually what I do my water at, and Todd thinks that's too carbonated. He doesn't like his sparkling water with that much bite. You do it at 30, don't you? No. Yeah, you do.
35, 40. I mean, 40's okay. I don't really.
Yeah, 40's fine. That's what I was saying. Think about it. Sparkling soda's just flavored sparkling water. So
yep.
There's no reason to have a specific pressure. Just like Todd said, if you're running a carbonator and that carbonator happens to be set in ambient temperature and not in a walk-in, then it needs a little more pressure to infuse the CO2 into the water. It's doing it quick. When
I reached out to him, here's how I asked him, and again, I haven't heard back from him, because I imagine what he means, if it's like some farmer's market, he's going to have an ice box or some way. Or here, you know what, Travis? Let me tell you how I do it. If you didn't ask, let me tell you. You need the beverages cold as can be. That's going to ensure the infusion of the CO2 to be quicker, and that's going to get that nice carbonic bite whenever you're serving. I would say, and this is field tested. This isn't just Joshua Stubing, salesman talking. In the lemonade industry, we've sold thousands, I feel comfortable saying, of these kind of kits where they use the event faucet to a keg of carbonated water, and that thing handles it. I've been saying it before this episode. The event faucet from Sandbecker is one of my top 3 favorite products of all time that I've ever used on any side of homebrewing, because it is so versatile in its usage, whether it's just from serving or using it when I'm force carboning beer and all that. I'd say if you have cold kegs of water and they're all carbonated to 40, and you get there and you have gas and maybe a distributor going to however many, and you have backup kegs just in case you don't want to sell out and have to stop. You have an event faucet or 2 on a line, 5/16 line. It doesn't have to be long at all. The beverage is cold. It's carb to where you want it. Boom. Soda at that pressure, the water at that pressure, whatever at that pressure, and you're going to do well. You don't have to keep them at separate PSIs. I will say, what is go ahead.
You always got to consider too that the temperature has a lot to do with it.
Well, that's what I was saying. Cold kegs in an ice box,
yeah, but I mean, so cold kegs, what, at like 38, 37? I mean, so your volumes of carbonation, Topo Chico, I just looked it up. It's 4.8 volumes of carbonation. And so it's considered to be one of the more carbonated ones, right?
Yeah, yes. That's almost double of a standard beer.
So I'm pulling the handy dandy chart off of Homebrew Happy Hour, which technically probably doesn't go far enough for this.
It doesn't. It's a beer carbonation chart.
So to get 4.8 with that, you would have to have it at 32 degrees at 30 psi. So that, I mean, we could find another chart.
I'm not talking about him making it at the festival. He's taking I'm saying.
No. I know you're not. I'm just saying that when we talk about what PSI to use in general, it really depends a lot on the actual temperature of the water at that point.
Gotcha.
In other words, if he wants it super highly carbonated, maybe 40. I'd have to find a chart that goes up to 40 psi. It wouldn't. I'm sure we could find one, and then I could tell you what temperature 40, where it would bring it to that volume of carbonation.
I totally understand what you're saying. Like again, this is all hypothetical. If he's at some farmer's market without electricity, he can't plug in a cold box like an electric one, and he just has a trash can, old school keg party style trash can filled with, like how we took all of our beers to San Diego and we just in there and just re-ice it. You think that he would have to periodically adjust the PSI to keep a consistent bite to or what he's going for?
No. I think once you get it carbonated, you're fine.
That's what I think too, but I thought I was saying something wrong. Okay. Yeah.
No, I didn't mean that.
They do with bottled soda, and they carb it and bottle it.
Are you guys?
If you did, so if you served at a lower pressure and the temperature was lower, eventually it would lose carbonation. But you're probably going to serve it so fast in an event that it wouldn't matter.
I agree. Are you guys old enough to? And I'm not saying this rudely. I promise.
Yes, we're old enough. Yes.
How did they would pump the syrup? Like I'm talking about old school soda jerk. Was it literally a pump of syrup and then just carbonated water, and that was it?
Yep.
No kidding. Why don't we see more people?
My grandmother worked at a drugstore in Lovington, New Mexico when I was a kid. We'd go over there and they had a soda, old timey soda. She called it a soda jerk station.
Soda jerk.
And it had different flavored syrups and it had those ball. You know what I'm talking about, Todd. Yep. You know, they had the ivory ball on them and they would put so many pumps into the glass and pour the carbonated water and mix it and then pour it into it. It was some of the best soda I've ever had in my life.
How come they all had that same kind of faucet? Was that just the convenience of the manufacturer, right place, right time, or that functional?
I would suspect it's such a niche market that was.
That's what I would think too. Yeah. Just because I watched I watched the movie the other weekend, The Departed, and there's a scene with the soda jerk, and I was like, that faucet's in all these soda. Like anytime I see something,
it was Chudnow made that faucet basically, right?
Or Cornelius, you mean?
Well, they
Chudnow.
Chudnow made a separate version called a Simplo Flow.
Yeah.
And it was actually designed for bag in the box.
I think Chudnow made one of the old school ones too. When I was in their factory, they were making stuff. They were using equipment that was 100 years old.
What?
And they had those old school towers like you're talking about.
Yeah, you can still get parts for those faucets too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is incredible, man. Yeah, they like I said, there every now and then, being in the greater Austin area, some hipster kind of storefront will come up and it'll be like, oh, old timey soda fountain, and it's always that faucet. And I always wonder because, well, you tell me this, James. I already did suggest the squeeze valve, the event faucet from Sam Becker, because it can handle that. What would happen if he just used a Cobra tap and he has a keg of 40 psi water connected to it?
No, I mean,
you can use a Cobra tap. Oh no, Ken! I thought it would blow it right off. So that's not enough pressure to give you problems.
Well, you'd still have to run one of our flow control or an inline flow control underneath it, because at 40 psi, you want to slow the flow down so it doesn't blow the glass out of your hand.
That's what
I don't know if you do it at 40 psi, but it would come out really quick.
It would come out hot. Now with water, hot isn't fast. Sorry guys, because hopefully it come out cold. Water though isn't going to give you foaming issues. So I was thinking more along the lines of like the event faucet's good for control of flow.
Well, yeah, but it won't give you. But it is. I mean, event flow controls. That was what it was invented for originally. Was soda, right? So
yep.
I didn't. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know that.
Our Speedy faucet, our X1 flow control, our entry level, that was originally used for premix soda and water.
I wonder, obviously it's for saving money and all that, why they went from the old way of pump and stir to then premix to now post-mix. I don't know what we're at.
Because they just want somebody to walk up and get a soda without having to have a person.
Yeah.
Think about all of those. So they would pre-mix everything, and then they'd have to pump it into kegs, and then they have to carbonate the kegs and store the kegs. And now everything's done on site. You just need a 5-gallon bag of syrup, and it's injected as the CO2 water's dispensing off the faucet head. That's why they have a thing called a diffuser inside the nozzle, and it injects them both into that diffuser, so it's mixing it as it's flowing out of the faucet head.
It's pretty brilliant, and it's pretty cool when you think about the functionality. Because, like you said, like most people they go up there and I put this on Coca-Cola and I get Coca-Cola, not thinking of like, my brother-in-law works at the university in the catering side, and their bags are in one room where the carbonator's on a whole other side of this massive build, like the lines running and all this. So for the kids to be at this one machine and be able to get their Coca-Cola, it's so intricate, it's really cool. Yeah. I would venture to say, I bet you most soda systems in a stadium or whatever are way longer draw type of systems than your average beer install would be. I mean, because it could handle that kind of distance though better probably, but
yeah, I would if I was setting one up, I would mount the bags of syrup as close to the machine.
Right. I meant though the water and the carbonator are not necessarily.
I would probably put them both as close as possible, but it is the reason why I say that is, of course, the lines are insulated, but when it hits, I know the one that I did here in town, it's on ambient water, but I had it at 90 PSI. I had two regulators. I had one set at, I want to say 60, and I had one at 90. The 90 was for the carbonator because it was hitting warm water or ambient temperature water and then going through a chiller. And then the other lower pressure was just so I didn't blow the BIB pumps up. But, it still requires a certain amount of pressure for those pistons to actuate. So if it's having to push it longer, because that's 3/8 ID hose for the syrup. The longer it's having to push it, the more pressure and the harder it is on the BIB pump. So you want to keep that down as low as possible, so the pumps don't get overworked and you don't have to worry about pressure.
Perfect. Travis, I know I took us down this whole trail. I mean, I thought it was interesting because it was all relevant to soda, but the gist is really your fizz kit, dude. You could take that as your that fizz kit is out of the box ready pretty much, and you can start your little pop-up booth wherever you'd like. And if you need to add more kegs or whatever to it, there's upgrade kits and all that, like for manifolds, and you don't have to keep buying that same kit over and over to replicate this process. But thank you so much for submitting the question. Again, guys, if you're watching at YouTube or wherever and you've got some feedback, we'd love for you to go to the comment section at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We'd also love you to call it in to 325-305-6107. I'd prefer you to call in a question so that I can use it on a future episode and get you a gift card to kegconnection.com. But even when you email or text or whatever, you still get one. Like our third and our final question of the show. It is our buddy Neil, and he texted me. He said, "Hey Josh, I bought a kegging kit for the first time from Keg Connection. Great stuff, but and these are air quotes for audio listeners, my standard beer faucet brass lever drips every time I use it. Is there a way to mitigate this dripping without replacing the faucet?" I did the quotes because that's what it's listed as.
How do the audio listeners see the quotes though?
No, I'm telling them that this part... the guy did not come up with himself standard beer faucet brass lever. I wanted them to know. They'd be like, who talks like that? Standard beer. That's how he copied and pasted the option he chose for his keg kit. Because at kegconnection.com, Todd, you can customize your kits. You can do a lot of things. So he chose just a basic thing. A lot of people do. They upgrade stuff like faucets later. Not a big deal. Save the money now. Get the kit. Get it set up. All that jazz. But those standard faucets are chrome-plated brass. Yes, chrome-plated brass. They work fine. But when it's dripping like that, what could be going on? Or is it just a cheap faucet? Is it something he can do? What's going on, Todd?
Well, it shouldn't be dripping. I mean, when he says dripping, though, I don't know. I mean, some people will turn it off and they'll get a couple of drips and they'll say it's dripping, which technically I guess it is, but that's just beer left in the spout that's dripping out. So I don't know if it's dripping like that or if it's dripping continuously all the time. If it's dripping continuously all the time, then it's not sealing properly and the O-ring needs to be lubed, or I say O-ring, it's actually a gasket. It needs lube, or it's not tight enough or something like that. But it's hard to, I mean, those types of faucets aren't really known for continuously dripping. He didn't really tell us, so I don't know.
No, and I didn't follow up with him on it. It was a very old text. I've messaged him and said thanks for submitting it. You got a gift card to Keg Connection.
Yeah, I wish. Let me grab one real quick.
While you're doing that,
you could talk about.
I'm going to throw it to James. Now, in the world of faucets, besides flow control, we've got forward seal and rear seal. Is one of those better suited for mitigating stuff like drip, even if it's the leftover stuff in the spout? Do you recommend one?
Yeah, I got you. The forward sealing faucet's just a little more hygienic. So what I mean by that is, I don't know if I have one of those in here, but we call it the shaft and seat. So there's an internal valve in there, and the Seambecker forward sealing valves, it's a little cartridge with a little ball socket on the end. And that's the only thing that the beer hits, and that's what opens and closes the little internal valve. Now, the one that Todd's got, that's a conventional valve, and that goes all the way through to the head of the nose of the faucet. So that gets wet. So it's showered with beer when it's open. And you can see the internal of the faucet, the cavity that it seats against. So sometimes it just needs the lever bonnet tightened. And that will put a little more friction on the lever, and it will allow it to pull the seat in a little tighter. If that's loose, and that could be all it is, it could be a heavy tap. If you've got a tap handle this long and it's not setting correctly to fully seat that internal shaft and seat, that can cause dripping too. In our instances with our forward sealing faucets, it's very rare, but sometimes when they go to machine that seat for the cartridge, that seat, if it for some reason, and screw machines do that in Germany, if they make that seat not parallel to the bore, it can cause unequal sealing all the way around the shaft and seat O-ring, and it can cause dripping, but that's very rare.
Yeah, Todd doesn't have his headphones on. Yeah, there you go. Now I was gonna say you're being a Vanna White, but I couldn't make fun of you, and you hear me. Well, you got your favorite lube, awesome.
Yep. So I just another and definitely tightening is what is probably, if it's a new faucet, is what it is. But if you have an older faucet and it's leaking and you've tightened it and all that, I just grabbed a little lube, put it on my finger, and I'm just lubing that O-ring. That's really the only place that it would leak. And if that O-ring gets a little dry, it could cause it. But like James was saying, and I wasn't even on to here, but I knew what he was going to say. It's if you either tighten it or
that's
just make sure this is tight right here.
That's the lever bonnet, not the knob lever. The big thing, it's the little small lever bonnet that actually attaches it to the faucet. Not
that. So if you're doing this on audio, you have to watch the video.
There you go, guys. Thank you. Y'all are going to be more effective at drawing our YouTube channel than I have been.
And if I tighten this a lot, I tighten the heck out of it, it's kind of hard to pull back and forth. So there's a happy balance there somewhere, like with most things.
You guys, this is probably not super relevant to most homebrewers, but James, as y'all been doing more installs commercially, do you find those massive commercial beer tap handles to be problematic on faucets in regards to like wear and tear on the lever and having to replace stuff quicker? And like, because some of those they're weapons, dude. I handled, they are so heavy.
We had some issues with our forward sealing V10 faucets because they were literally ripping the creamer function out the center because they assumed that the forward travel, the creamer function, which is backwards, is the same distance as opening the faucet, and have to tell them, no, you just got to push it until you feel it stop. Just a slight resistance.
And this is the old traditional faucet that, a lot of people still use this design. We sell these all the time because people break them in half basically because the handle's so it either bends or it actually, I've seen them break, snap. They typically will snap right. I got this stuff in the way, but they'll typically snap right in here. And it's because of those ginormous handles. I mean, sometimes they get so big that they're counterproductive.
But they're beautiful. Every time I go, like, what's that one place, James, you and I went to in Denver, and they have them all over the country. We've been to the one in Kansas City. It's
a tap house.
The something yard. Yard house. They've got a gazillion beer on tap, from different breweries, all of them big, massive, beautiful. But every time we go in one, I noticed they use those like gooseneck style, the cheapo faucets. And I'm like, they got to be replacing those levers all the freaking time with the way that they're also violently pulling forward. And it's wild. It's crazy. But yeah, there's a free plug for Yard House. If there's one in your town, go. One of many.
Definitely go. They're impressive.
It was great. Yeah, I had a good time there. Yeah. But wrapping up Neil's question, if it's dripping, Todd, not just like you said, like I use I get what is technically drip frequently out of my faucets. Not just me. I am getting older, but my prostate's fine. But out of my faucets, sometimes you close it and then bloop, 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 and then it's done. But if his is actually, oh my God, I left the room and I came back and it's still dripping. What you just said to tighten all that, the lube, all in one tube of lube should last you a long time because you don't use, like if you weren't watching, it's worth, Todd put what would you say, a pinhead's worth of lube on your?
Yeah, very, very little. I mean, people tend to use too much. It's more is not always better with lube. Well, it depends on what you're using.
Hey, whoa, whoa,
but anyway,
whoa! We're paging Dragonfly lady. She's gonna come into the comments. No, she's not. She gave up on us. I think that covers everything for Neil. And I'll solicit one last time. If you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour or wherever, we'd love for your comments there below at the video. It helps the algorithm. While you're there, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel and all that, because we are trying to grow what we're doing here. We have a little bit more video centric stuff in the pipeline. And every now and then, Todd just did a very good video on the CS10 and a video of it flow control faucets pouring together. We actually ended up getting.
I think we're going to end up doing another video on that. Because we've got 2 more flow control faucets coming in that we're going to put through the ringer.
Exactly. So we're going to do more, and people wanted you to maybe elaborate a little more. So we're going to redo that video. I'll probably leave the old one up. It doesn't hurt, but we'll do a. Here's what I'll do. I'll do the YouTuber thing where even though we just published that one like a week or 2 ago, the new video, even if it's in a month, updated version, don't miss. I'll make it very clickbaity. We'll make that work. But go subscribe to the channel, all that. But again, you could always call in your feedback to 325-305-6107. Leave a voicemail. I prefer a question, but even if it's feedback worthy of being on a future episode, you get yourself a gift card to keckconnection.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. That is all I have for y'all this week, and I will see y'all next week.
Thank you.
See ya.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, again, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You can email me, Joshua, at homebrewhappyhour.com. But I'd like for you to call in and leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Big breath. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntins Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntins, you can give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of premium Imperial yeast along with delicious recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Again, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.